Listen carefully. This isn't just motivation, it's a warning. Some people in your life aren't who they pretend to be. They don't come to build you up, they come to break you slowly. It's time to recognize the danger before it costs you everything. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy isn't holding a weapon. They're holding your hand. They laugh with you, sit beside you, echo your dreams, and smile when you speak. But deep down, they're not listening to understand. They're listening to compete. They're taking mental notes, not to support you, but to replicate you. They don't want to walk with you, they want to walk ahead of you. They don't celebrate your growth, they feel threatened by it. They treat life like a scoreboard, and every step you take forward feels like a step they've fallen behind. That's the quiet storm brewing inside them. Envy, insecurity, and unspoken rivalry. At first they clap for you, they show up, they repost, they say all the right things. But something always feels off. Their support seems staged. Their presence feels conditional. Their compliments sound a little too backhanded. Wow, good for you. I was planning to do that too, just waiting to do it better. It's subtle, but real. And as you grow, their energy changes. You start to notice they don't share your excitement. When you speak of your wins, they go quiet. When others cheer for you, they pull away. Because deep down, your success is a mirror to their stagnation. Your consistency reflects their procrastination. Your courage exposes their fear. This person studies you like a blueprint. They watch what works for you and try to copy it, not because they're inspired, but because they're obsessed with outshining you. And when they realize they can't keep up, they start to sabotage. Suddenly, they're questioning your decisions, undermining your ideas, planting seeds of doubt in your mind. Are you sure this is the right move? Do you really think you're ready for that? These comments don't come from love, they come from fear. Fear that you're becoming more than they ever imagined. Fear that you're stepping into something they're too afraid to pursue for themselves. What makes it worse is that you once trusted them. You believed in them. Maybe you even shared your deepest dreams, your fears, your plans. And now you find yourself holding back. You shrink your light to keep them comfortable. You downplay your blessings just to keep their ego intact. And over time, you lose pieces of yourself trying to keep their insecurities from being triggered. But here's the hard truth. You weren't born to dim your light. You weren't called to play small to make others feel tall. If someone can cheer for you with their whole heart, they don't belong in your inner circle. Love doesn't compete. Real friends want to see you win. They're not threatened by your shine, they're inspired by it. So pay attention. If someone disappears when you rise, but reappears when you fall, they were never for you. And letting go of that person isn't betrayal, it's self-respect. You can't soar if you're tethered to people secretly hoping you fall. Not every threat to your well-being walks in with malice or manipulation. Some come disguised as helplessness, as constant need, as endless emotional emergencies that always seem to find their way to your doorstep. They don't rob your bank account or steal your dreams. They drain your energy, bit by bit, until there's nothing left for you. And they do it quietly, gradually, almost gently, so subtly that you don't even realize the weight they've put on your shoulders, until your spirit feels exhausted and your soul is stretched thin. These people don't always mean harm, but their presence becomes harmful. They are never there to pour into you. They show up empty and expect you to fill them. Every single time. You become their therapist, their life coach, their emergency hotline. You're the one who listens when they need to vent. You're the one who reassures them when they spiral. You're the one they call when they've messed up again and need saving. But when you're the one who's tired, when you need a break, when you silently wish someone would ask, "Are you okay?" they're nowhere to be found. And when you finally pull back, when you create a little space for yourself, suddenly you're the bad guy. You've changed, they say. But no, you've simply woken up. You've realized that love isn't supposed to drain you, that care isn't supposed to cost you your peace, that true connection is about giving and receiving, not being used until you're dry. You weren't created to carry someone else's emotional weight 24/7, especially someone who never asks how your heart is doing. Someone who never checks in unless it's about them. Someone who calls you friend but treats you like a life support system. They don't come to connect, they come to consume. And eventually you find yourself dreading their calls, avoiding their presence, bracing yourself every time they reach out, because you already know what's coming. Another crisis, another favor, another hour of pouring out with nothing being poured back in. And deep down, you start to feel guilty for even feeling tired. You think maybe you're being selfish, but you're not. You're just human, and humans need rest. They need connection. They need relationships that feel nourishing, not just demanding. The truth is, when love becomes one-sided, it stops being love and starts becoming a burden. It's not wrong to care, it's not wrong to give. But if you keep giving without receiving, you'll burn out. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You'll wake up bitter, resentful, and empty. And that's not a sign of selfishness, it's a sign you've been stretched too far for too long. You deserve to be refilled. You deserve support. And most of all, you deserve people who love you for who you are, not just for what you give. This kind of person doesn't arrive with love, they arrive with need. They don't knock on the door of your life gently. They barge in unannounced and always at the most convenient time. For them, not for you. You won't hear from them for months, sometimes even years. No messages to check in, no calls just to talk. No effort made when you were the one struggling. But the moment they need a favor, a shoulder, a lifeline, suddenly they remember you exist. Suddenly they miss you. Suddenly they're thinking about you. But you can feel it in your gut, something's off, something isn't right. Because it's not about reconnection, it's about access. They're not coming back because they care about you. They're coming back because you've always been the safe one, the giver, the helper, the one who says yes without hesitation. And now that their world is falling apart, now that they've burned every other bridge, now that they've run out of people to call, they're circling back. But not for you, for what you can do. Because to them, you're not a friend, you're not a person, you're a resource, a solution, a rescue boat floating in the distance when they feel like they're drowning. And they know just how to mask it. They'll laugh with you, joke with you, tell stories from the past like nothing has changed. They'll sprinkle in enough charm to make you question your own instincts, but the truth always reveals itself in the pattern. They only show up when they're empty. They only reach out when they're in crisis. They only engage when there's something they want to take. And once they've gotten what they needed, they disappear again until the next disaster. What makes it hard is that they don't take aggressively, they take quietly, strategically. They don't demand, they suggest. They don't beg, they imply. It's clever, subtle, calculated. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Because quiet users are harder to spot. They don't come with red flags waving. They come cloaked in nostalgia, false warmth, and vague promises. They say all the right things, just long enough to make you believe the connection is real. But ask yourself, were they there when you were hurting? Did they check in when you were struggling? Did they offer their hand when you were reaching for help? Or do they only appear when they're in need, when their world is crashing, when they're desperate to feel rescued again? That's not love. That's not friendship. That's not connection. That's trans. You deserve relationships that are built on presence, not just on need. You deserve people who show up because they love you, not because they've run out of other options. Don't mistake convenience for care. Just because someone reaches out doesn't mean they value you. Sometimes they just value your kindness enough to keep using it. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to protect your energy. It's okay to recognize when someone's presence has a pattern and walk away before it drains you. There's a certain kind of person who doesn't understand the word no. Not because they can't hear it, but because they don't respect it. When you set a boundary, they don't take it as a healthy act of self-respect. They take it as an attack. To them, your limits feel like rejection. Your need for space feels like abandonment, and your self-care becomes selfishness in their eyes. But what they're really upset about isn't your boundary. It's their lost access. They're not angry because you hurt them, they're angry because they can't use you like they used to. These people will twist your boundaries into betrayal. They'll make you feel like the villain in a story where you've simply started protecting your peace. The moment you begin choosing yourself, they show their true colors. you'll hear lines like, "You've changed," or "You're so distant now," or "I thought you cared." But what they really mean is, "I miss the version of you that had no limits." They miss the version of you that always said yes, even when it hurt, the version that put their comfort above your own peace, the one who bent until you broke. But now you've grown. You've awakened. You've realized that your peace is worth more than pleasing people who only value what you can give, not who you are. You're no longer willing to overextend yourself just to keep someone else from feeling uncomfortable. You're no longer dimming your light to protect fragile egos. And that kind of growth scares them, because they were never in it for mutual respect. They were in it for access. As long as you stayed available, agreeable, and self-sacrificing, they were kind, warm, and supportive. But the moment you start saying no, their tone shifts, their energy changes, they start using guilt like a weapon. Subtle shame becomes their language, manipulation becomes their tool. Suddenly, every boundary becomes a betrayal. Every request for space becomes a personal attack. But here's the truth. Setting boundaries is not a rejection of others. It's a declaration of self-worth. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. And anyone who makes you feel bad for protecting your energy is not showing love. They're showing concern, dressed up in concern. Real love doesn't punish. Real friendship doesn't guilt. Real connection doesn't evaporate when you ask for space. Watch closely how people respond when you start to grow. Do they honor your space or invade it? Do they respect your decisions or guilt trip you until you give in? If support turns into shame, if care turns into coercion, they were never for you, they were for what you gave them. And when that access was threatened, so was their affection. You don't owe anyone constant availability. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that's drained just to keep them comfortable. Healthy people will honor your limits, toxic people will fight them. And that's the difference. You don't need to explain your boundaries, you just need to keep them. Because peace is priceless, even if it costs you people who only loved you when you had none. One of the most dangerous people you'll ever encounter doesn't wear a mask of hate, they wear a mask of friendship. They sit beside you, laugh with you, celebrate your wins, and act like they're on your side. But behind the scenes, when the room changes and you're no longer around, their energy shifts. The applause stops, the loyalty disappears. And suddenly, the same person who praised you yesterday is now the one feeding gossip into the ears of others. That's the two-faced friend, the one who smiles to your face but tears down your name in private. They don't oppose you directly. That would be too honest. Instead, they work in the shadows. They collect your vulnerabilities like souvenirs. Not because they care, but because it gives them leverage. What you shared in trust becomes their favorite topic in rooms you were never invited to. They ask questions that sound like concern, but their motive is to gather details they can spin. Their curiosity is not fueled by love. It's driven by the thrill of being in the know. They don't protect you, they study you. And then they whisper just enough doubt into the atmosphere to stain your character, while keeping their hands clean. They laugh at your jokes, not at your ideas, even compliment your progress. But the moment you leave, they become someone else. Someone unrecognizable, someone dangerous. Because betrayal doesn't always shout. Sometimes it smiles, sometimes it hugs, sometimes it says, "I'm proud of you," while secretly hoping you fall. That's what makes this kind of person so toxic. They don't look like enemies. They look like supporters. They know just how to play the part, just how to blend in, just how to use your trust as a trap. And the worst part, they never correct the lies. They never defend you when others bring up your name. They stay silent. But silence in the face of betrayal is complicity. Real friends don't just clap when you win. They guard your reputation when you're not in the room. They don't let whispers turn into narratives. They don't use your truth as gossip currency. They stand firm. They protect what's sacred. Because that's what loyalty looks like. It's quiet, but strong. Present, even in your absence. If someone's support changes based on who's watching, if their loyalty depends on who else is listening, if they only celebrate you when it benefits them, then it was never real to begin with. You don't need people who perform friendship. You need people who live it. You need warriors, not watchers, People who would rather walk away from gossip than participate in it. People who would shut down slander before it even starts. Cut ties with those who can't protect your name when you're not in sight. Because a two-faced friend is more dangerous than a known enemy. At least with enemies you know where they stand, but betrayal wrapped in a smile? That's poison, and it will destroy you from the inside out if you don't walk away in time. Some people wear victimhood like armor. Not because they've been hurt, but because it protects them from ever having to take responsibility. No matter what happens, no matter how much damage they cause, they find a way to twist the narrative until they come out looking like the one who is wronged. They never apologize. They never self-reflect. They never own the pain they've caused. Instead, they cry louder, play softer, and spin the story until you're questioning your memory, not their behavior. These people are emotionally dangerous. They don't just avoid accountability, they erase it. They rewrite events to make themselves look innocent, and you look cruel. And when you try to talk things through, when you try to explain how their words or actions hurt you, they immediately flip the script. Suddenly you're the one who's overreacting. You're too sensitive. You're always twisting things. Those phrases aren't miscommunications. They're manipulations. They're deflections meant to protect their image and avoid the discomfort of truth. And the longer you stay in that dynamic, the more you start to shrink. You begin second-guessing your instincts. You apologize for things you didn't do. You walk on eggshells just to avoid another emotional storm. You keep the truth bottled up because peace, even fake peace, starts to feel safer than honesty. But here's the reality. Peace that requires you to silence yourself is not peace. It's emotional oppression. And over time, it chips away at your confidence, your clarity, your sense of self. They make you feel like the problem, like if you were just a little more patient, a little more forgiving, a little less dramatic, then maybe things would be better. But better for who? Because it's never about healing, it's about control. It's about preserving their version of reality where they never have to look in the mirror. And if someone can't admit when they're wrong, can't say, "I'm sorry," without turning it into another guilt trip, can't see your pain without making it about them, then you're not in a relationship. You're in a performance. The truth is, you are not responsible for fixing people who refuse to be honest about who they are. You are not obligated to carry their emotional baggage just because they refuse to unpack it themselves. And you are not a villain for walking away from someone who made you feel small just so they could feel big. The person who always plays the victim is not harmless. They are heavy. They will wear you down slowly until you don't recognize your own voice anymore. They will keep crying wolf until you begin to believe you're the wolf. And by the time you realize what's happening, you've already sacrificed your sanity just trying to keep the peace. But you don't owe your well-being to someone who uses guilt like a weapon. You don't need to keep proving your love to someone who only accepts it when it serves their version of the truth. Sometimes the kindest, healthiest, most powerful thing you can do is walk away. Not because you don't care, but because you finally do. You can't afford to keep dangerous people close just because they once felt familiar. Familiar doesn't mean safe. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a season, not your whole story. And the longer you hold on to what's hurting you, the more you delay what's meant to heal you. The truth is, not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone deserves access to your heart, your energy, or your dreams. You are not obligated to keep people in your life who lie in silence, drain you dry, or cheer for you with envy in their hearts. This isn't about being heartless, it's about being wise. It's about protecting your calling, guarding your peace, and surrounding yourself with people who truly see you, support you, and grow with you, not compete with you, use you, or guilt trip you into staying small. If someone constantly disrespects your boundaries, manipulates your kindness, gossips behind your back, drains your spirit, only shows up when they're in need, or always plays the victim, that's not love. That's bondage. And you were never created to live in chains, you were created to rise. To let go of what's heavy, release what's false, and make space for people who bring light, not darkness, growth, not games, peace, not performance. You owe no one an explanation for choosing your peace. You owe everyone your healed, whole, and powerful self. Let them go and watch your life get lighter.